Well, I would say that was a success. I always have such a good time doing house parties for these guys. I almost feel weird at the end asking for money, but they take good care of me, and this gets me where I need to be for income for this month. So that feels really good. 11:44 p.m. Still Saturday, October 28th, 2023. Really wanting to meet up with Priscilla down at Wander Inn, but the way things have been lately with car break-ins and whatnot, I don't feel comfortable leaving my equipment in my car. So I definitely want to go home first and at least get my good speakers and my tripods and the suitcase that has my bass karaoke system in it into my place before I go anywhere. So, gosh, what to say about the party? Family and friends. It's a family thing. Yeah, if you go back to my vlog from about 2 years ago, about the first time I booked this gig, I had thought it was a young single Indian guy booking something for a bunch of tech professionals, and I don't know where I got that from. I guess just the accent and the way he was kind of discussing what was going on. He didn't really say much. I didn't ask too many questions. He asked what I had in the way of karaoke, and I told him, and then I explained how I had, DJed music videos, and for Christmas stuff, that I had a bunch of Christmas videos and so on. And we agreed on a price. It was a really decent price. And then when I came, I was really surprised to see that it was a multi-generational family and close friends of the family type affair. And by multi-generational, I mean there was everything from babies to elderly grandparents, possibly great-grandparents of some of the babies, there with walkers. And that's neat. You don't see, at least I don't see, a lot of that sort of thing. And of course that changed immediately. Well, what I normally play, it's like, oh, I gotta keep it family friendly here. As a DJ, since my focus for decades now, well, I don't know, I'm coming up on 2 decades. I think next year it'll be 20 years. My focus has been bar karaoke, and my niche has kind of been running explicit shows and having the explicit content as far as uncensored versions and extra risque music videos that other people don't have, and being like right on that edge. That's kind of been my niche in bar karaoke. So every time I find myself doing a family event, it's always, oh crap, what? I don't have clean versions of, I shouldn't say I don't have clean versions of stuff. I do have some clean versions of some things, just because it's all I have. And for a long time, if I have a clean version of something and then I get the explicit version, I do typically hang on to the clean versions and mark them as such, just in case I'm DJing a gig where that comes in handy. But I certainly don't seek them out. Most of the time I don't bother with clean versions. The only time I end up with clean versions is if that's what I find first, and then later I find an explicit one. But yeah, every time I'm doing a family thing, I have to really stretch my brain around, wow, what if, there's little kids here, little kids, preschool kids, kindergarten kids, first, second, third grade kids here. What am I putting on here? And every now and then I had something tonight that would be, and I can't think of any of it off the top of my head, but every now and then I hear an F-bomb slip through, and right here I noticed that something was a little on the heavy sexual innuendo side, or a little risque in the video, but this is the third event I've done with these guys. They love me, and nothing's so bad that anybody noticed, I don't think. I think I was the only one that was really being attentive to that. At first, I was kind of at a loss as to what to play, because I'm typically background music for the first, hour or two before people actually get involved in singing. Because usually there's, they'll serve dinner and people will just be kind of catching up and socializing. So I run the volume a little bit lower so people can hear to talk. And since prior to this year, I've always done Christmas parties for them. I've got a subdirectory just full of nothing but shortcut links to all my Christmas videos. And I know which ones are too risque, and generally speaking, most Christmas stuff isn't. Most of the time I end up going back and forth between a Christmas themed video and a Christmas song. And again, not too many of those are something that aren't family friendly. The obvious exception, of course, being the Afro-Man Christmas album. Yeah, I'm not playing anything from the Afro-Man Christmas album there. But I'm thinking about the Halloween stuff I have, and most of my Halloween stuff is, too much for a family gathering. So it's like, I'm trying to do Halloween themed stuff, but I don't want to put anything that's so intensely gory on the screen that's gonna give the little kids nightmares. Obviously nudity's out of line, and any obscenities are out of line. So modern Monster Mash, which has kind of been a staple of my Halloween shows and parties for years, that's a no. I did play the video, the Halloween's Too Sexy thing, and even that felt like it was a little over the line. But for the most part, hardly anybody was paying attention at that point. And I did see a couple people that were kind of watching it and snickering at it. So I'd say that went over okay. I'm glad most people ignored it, because it could have possibly had somebody offended. I'm usually pretty good at reading the room when it comes to people at an event that I'm DJing. And at one point I did play Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Two Big Pumpkins, which is full of all kinds of innuendos, and it's obvious that she's talking about her boobs. But there's always pumpkins, lots and lots of pumpkins. And it was mostly women, I would say, that were in their 40s, maybe late 30s, that were actually watching that one. And the conversations kind of stopped and started looking at it. And a few of them took out their phones and were shooting little videos of it to post God knows where. Or maybe they were looking at it to see what it was, but they seemed pretty amused by it. So that was cool. The last video I played, I completely forgot that it was a vampire and kind of Halloween themed video, because it's not in any shape, way, or form a Halloween themed song. But Bad Habits by Ed Sheeran. I played that video a little bit when it first came out, but that was right around the time that I stopped hosting karaoke, and the only regular gig I had at that time was a very black crowd, so obviously I'm not playing a lot of Ed Sheeran. I forgot what a great Halloween themed video that is. Of course I played the Thriller video for Michael Jackson. Now, I did wait until the crowd had kind of thinned out, not because of the nature of the video, but just because of the length of it. It is pretty long, and once I commit to playing that, it's going to be a while till I get back to anybody that's wanting to do karaoke. But yeah, there were a lot of people that that remembered it from when they were kids and just hadn't seen it in years. Which, it's not like you can't see that now. I mean, all that kind of stuff is on YouTube, but not everybody watches music videos, especially old music videos on YouTube. I had some great conversations with people that were around my age, and I assume pretty much every woman that I meet at that is married. I got a great picture of one woman, and I feel bad I don't remember her name, but I'm positive she's married. She came to this from Northern California. I mean, obviously she's hanging out and doing other stuff. She's, family friend, and she was still there after most everybody left. In fact, she was still there when I left. I'm wearing an orange shirt. Here's the picture. I don't remember her name. I love that she didn't really have on a Halloween costume per se, but what a great Halloween themed outfit. And then of course, me in the laziest costume ever. and we just matched so well. She's from India, had a pretty strong Indian accent. And then come to find out, I know I've been saying that the guy that's the head of the household there, that he was from somewhere in South America, and now I'm wondering where the hell I got that from. Initially, from his accent, I thought he was Indian, and I think it's because he's got a last name that is commonly a Hispanic last name, and they've got a lot of relatives that are, at least friends that are there, that speak Spanish. And I guess one of them said that they were from somewhere in South America, and I forget where. But yeah, I was talking to the guy who hired me for this, and at the end of the night, he asked how much he owed me, and I'm like, I didn't even discuss price with you because I know you always take care of me. And then of course he's like, oh, so is $20 gonna be fine? And I just started laughing. I'm like, no. But anyway, I'm quite happy with what he pulled out of his wallet for me. He always takes good care of me, and I don't even, with people that I do regular events from, and maybe I should be more focused on the money, but with people that I do regular events for like this, like annual events, or especially annual events, if they've taken care of me in the past, I really don't worry about it, because they generally recall what they paid me, and they generally pay me in the same ballpark or more every time I go. So the one thing I'm not rolling out of here with this time, and I think if I would have been a little more focused on asking for it and a little less focused on packing my stuff up, I would have left with some, but usually there's a lot of leftover food. To be fair, there wasn't as much leftover food this time as there normally is. But yeah, like the past 2 years, I've left with so much food that I lived on leftovers from that for like a week and a half. And it's too bad I didn't get any of the leftovers, because whoever they hired to cater this, like normally they just get food from wherever. I know one time they got Panda Express, but they got the giant catering size portions. That fried rice lasted me quite a while. I took a huge thing of fried rice home last year. But this time they had a couple of guys that set up in the backyard with really authentic Mexican street tacos. And oh man, got 3 pork carnitas tacos. I should have got more, but I just wasn't that hungry. Those are really good. Those are on point. They also had a bartender. They usually always hire an actual bartender. This was a different bartender than the bartenders I've seen before, but he went all out with like a Halloween themed thing and had these Halloween themed mixed drinks. I got one. I didn't want to hit up for too many. God knows how they're billing this. And I'm functionally staffed, but what the heck? I had to get one. And of course, it's kind of a couple with 2 kids, the family that live in the house there, and his wife, and she usually it's the husband that calls me and texts me. This time we did it all from text. I didn't even talk to him on the phone. But yeah, I've talked to his wife on the phone before and stuff, and of course she was the one who answered the door, and I walked out to the bar with her, and I asked her what she was getting, and she pointed to the little special Halloween menu, and I'm like, ooh. And she tasted it. She's like, this is great. I'm like, I guess I should get one of those. And she's like, yes, you totally should. And if that's not tacit approval to get it, I don't know what is. So I definitely enjoyed that. Now, I was worried about not having all the cables that I need, because I kind of was more focused on getting my computer issues straightened out and cleaning out my damn car. Consequently, didn't focus as much on my cords and cables and making sure I had everything. Well, I did end up short one cord, and it wasn't what I thought it would be. And they had one at the house. And I don't even know what the cord is called. I mean, it's a power cord, but what specifically it's called, I don't know. And it wouldn't have made a difference if I know what they're called, because nobody else seems to know what they're called either. But I showed him one. He goes, well, I think I do. And went rummaging through a like drawer or a cabinet or something he's got with a bunch of random electronic stuff. And sure enough, he found one. The power cord that used to be really common on desktop PCs. Now, at this point, desktop PCs in homes aren't really common. Most everybody, if they've got computers at home, I mean, most people have computers at home, they use laptops. I don't know too many people using desktops at home these days. So, yeah, those cords not as common as they used to be. They're also using a lot of pro audio gear, but damned if I know what they're called. Now, inside joke for a long time between Priscilla and I has been that they're Optoma power cables. And that's because I own several high-definition video projectors, and one of them is an Optoma. Actually, I have two Optomas of the same model, come to think of it. When the bulb burned out on my first Optoma projector, I think how I got the second one was I was looking for a replacement bulb for my projector, and I found somebody selling a full projector with a good bulb in it for not notably more than what a new bulb goes for, and I just couldn't pass up getting a second one for that price. But while I was searching for that, I'm searching bulb and then Optoma projector and then the model number, which I don't know off the top of my head, but of course I looked it up and that's what I'm searching for. One of the things that came up in the eBay search for it was the power cable for it, which came up as Optoma power cable. And it said power cable for, and then it listed all the models of projectors. So of course when I searched for that specific projector, when I searched for that specific projector, that power cord came up, which is hysterical because there's absolutely nothing remotely proprietary about that cable. That's the same power cable that's used on damn near every desktop computer ever made, and also for a lot of pro audio gear. My powered speakers use it. I've got amplifiers that use that cord. Typically those cords are anywhere from $1 to $5. They're a cheap cord. And they're one that I can generally get for free when I'm down at Ghettotronics. If I'm buying something and I see that they have some nice ones, I'll just grab one. They never charge me for that. They're just like, oh yeah, take a cord. You're buying stuff that needs a cord, take a cord. I think their regular price on them is like $1 if that's all I was buying. But yeah, I found it very funny that somebody was so creatively marketing it as Optoma power projector. And then when I went to their seller page, they had the same cord, same, standardized non-proprietary cord. I wish I knew what they're called. I really don't. They had several different auctions or listings. They were selling them on a buy it now with multiple items listing, but they had them for all sorts of different things as if it was a proprietary cable for something, and then the price they were selling it for was ridiculously high. So obviously taking advantage of people that are clueless, and I can't hate on the seller for that. But yeah, I showed that listing to Priscilla, and we've been jokingly referring to them as Optoma power cables ever since. But yeah, he saved me on that one, and I'm not sure where I would have scored one of those at this point, because I don't think Walmart stocks those anymore. In fact, I question if Walmart ever did. And the shitty thing is I usually have a handful of them like in the trunk of my car, but for whatever reason I didn't. And I've got loads of them at home. They're all over the place. I got one box that's got a bunch of different types of power cables and probably 10 or 15 of those. But all I can think is that the last time I brought my stuff in, the last gig I had was the second show that I did at Royale Lounge, and I must have just brought those cords in and stuck them somewhere else rather than putting them in the bag of cords that I normally keep them in. Anyway, all's well that ends well. Oh, when I was an hour late getting there, for some reason I was thinking I needed to get there at 6. They wanted the party to start at 6. Fortunately, nobody really showed up at 6, and by the time people started showing up, probably about 6:45, and I was all set up and had music going, so that's all well. They didn't seem bothered by it. I'm kind of bothered by it. In fact, when I kind of apologized, they're like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm like, I'm sorry, you guys told me when it's the start. Somewhere I got the start time mixed up with the time I needed to be here. Because even I said I need, when I was vlogging earlier, I said I gotta get there at 6, and the reality is I needed to get there at 5. I don't know how I got that mixed up. I was thinking I wanted to leave home at 5. Anyway, not too much else to say about it. It was a good time. The kids always surprise me with what they sing, and it was a lot different this time than last time. I didn't download anything from YouTube. Some of the stuff that they asked for that I didn't have were already in my downloads. All I need to do was do a file conversion on it. And the few things that I didn't have that people asked for, I went ahead and got it from karaoke version. Even if I possibly could have got a free version from YouTube, I was so concerned that if I would have tried to launch a browser and then a tab for YouTube and then my YouTube downloader, I was just really concerned that it would cause the music to skip, and it wasn't worth the risk to me. But yeah, I had one family that their kids love singing songs from Frozen 2. I never added any songs from Frozen 2 to my karaoke. Now, I have most every song from Frozen. My daughter Lily, that lined up right with her, and when she was that age that we watched Frozen over and over, and that's around the time I got the 3D TV. So yeah, Frozen in 3D so many times, and I love those songs. Nothing against Frozen 2. I actually went to Frozen 2 when it was in theaters in 3D with my older daughter Allison. By the time Frozen 2 came out, Lily wasn't interested, and I remember reading that was a thing, that it took so long for the sequel to Frozen to come out that a lot of the kids that just mostly little girls that just had the Frozen pajamas and the Frozen backpack and the Frozen sheets and the Frozen quilt, which my daughter Lily had Frozen sheets and a quilt and pillows and stuff. By the time Frozen 2 came out, they were tweens or young teenagers and just weren't interested in another chapter of Frozen. My older daughter was, and I want to say she was probably 17, I think, when it came out. But yeah, at that point, she was past that age of, I don't like cartoons anymore because I'm older, to, yeah, Frozen is great, and my dad enjoys these kinds of movies in 3D, so let's go see it in 3D. Because I didn't know, and I still actually haven't managed to pick up Frozen 2 on a 3D Blu-ray. I'm not even sure if it exists. No, I am sure it exists. I did see it one time when I was searching. I did see it, but it was pricey, and my money was tight at the time, so I didn't get it. But yeah, I don't have that on a 3D Blu-ray. But Frozen was such a thing that I did have a lot of people wanting to sing the songs, some of the songs from Frozen, particularly Let It Go, at my karaoke shows, both at Gilligan's and at Castaways. But nobody ever seemed that interested in Frozen 2, so I never did get it. Fortunately, those I had downloaded them from the Zoom official YouTube channel, so it was fun to get those sang tonight. Anyway, it's a wee bit after midnight. I'm still wanting to enjoy my Saturday night and at least get one song in at Wander In. So, I haven't got any text messages back in quite a while from Priscilla, so I'm thinking she probably laid down and fell asleep. I need to get my speakers out of my car so nobody is tempted to smash out a window in my car to try to grab any gear out of here. Not that that's a real problem in this area, but better safe than sorry, and having high-end speakers visible through the windows is just never a good idea.